tallest, fastest, longest. These are superlatives that theme parks use when advertising a major new investment in a groundbreaking coaster. These words will surely draw guests in to visit a park and check out this brand new roller coaster. But what happens when a park has a smaller budget or land available to build this new attraction while still drawing in guests? They go for a smaller and less expensive coaster that is still visually impressive and hopefully thrilling to guests. This is where the compact vertical coaster comes in. Compact vertical coasters occupy a small plot of land, are typically in the 70 to 100 foot, 21 to 30 meter height range, and have a vertical or beyond vertical drop. The Gerstlauer Eurofighter model was the first to appear. This model debuted with Vildsvinet at Bonbonland in Denmark, opening in 2003, which was also the first coaster to have a beyond vertical drop. Although these Eurofighters dominate the market with several installations at smaller and medium-sized parks, other manufacturers have stepped into the ring with their own competition. The S&S El Loco model debuted in 2008 with Steel Hog at Indiana Beach, and the Zamperla Lightning Lift, commonly referred to as Thunderbolt model, debuted with the Thunderbolt at Luna Park in New York in 2014. I had ridden many Eurofighters before, but earlier this year I rode an El Loco and Thunderbolt model for the first time, and getting to experience those made me think of this whole concept of compact vertical coasters. So naturally, as an enthusiast, I wanted to compare the stats of all three of these models. So today, we will find out who reigns supreme as the king of compact vertical coasters. To begin this competition, let's compare the stats of these three models. There is a lot of variation in each of these three models, so I'm going to have to choose a specific roller coaster that's sort of the average as a representative for each model. For the Eurofighter, we're going to look at Daredevil Dive, which is located at Six Flags Over Georgia. It's a fairly unique model, although there is a near identical clone in Anubis the Ride at Plopsaland Japan in Belgium. Daredevil Dive has a length of 2,099 feet, a height of 95 feet, a maximum speed of 52 miles per hour, and a total of 3 inversions. Its maximum drop angle is 95 degrees. The stats of Daredevil Dive are within the average range of the compact vertical coaster types, although its height of 95 feet and speed of 52 miles per hour are towards the higher end of that range. For the S&S El Loco model, we're going to look at Steel Hog at Indiana Beach. It has a length of 1,386 feet, a height of 96 feet, and a top speed of 41 miles per hour. It has 2 inversions and a maximum vertical angle of 111 degrees, much steeper than the Eurofighter. That super steep drop angle is one of the signature elements of the El Loco model. In fact, Steel Hog had the steepest drop in the world when it opened. The height of 96 feet is quite tall for the compact vertical coaster type, but the speed of 41 miles per hour is somewhat lower than the others. This is because the drop doesn't go all the way from the top of the lift hill to the ground. Last in our stats contest, we're going to look at the Zamperla Thunderbolt model. We're going to look at the 681 meter model, which happens to be the tallest and fastest of the installations of this model. However, I think it compares very well with the other two, and personally it is the one I've ridden, so I have the experience with it. As I said, it has a length of 681 meters, or 2,234 feet, a height of 114.8 feet, and a top speed of 55.9 miles per hour. It has a total of 4 inversions and a maximum vertical angle of 90 degrees. You'll notice that the Thunderbolt is taller than the Eurofighter and El Loco models we've looked at so far. However, one of the tallest Eurofighters in existence is Speed the Ride at Oakwood Park in Wales, which also has a height of 115 feet. And the tallest El Loco is Green Lantern the Ride at Warner Brothers Movie World in Australia. So I think considering the tallest rides of these models, we can easily compare the other two. Now we will compare the overall experience of each of these models, which includes the layout and the overall feel of the ride. Now things will start to get subjective because these are of course my opinions on the ride layout, restraints, and other aspects like the comfort of the restraints. Now going back to Daredevil Dive, the ride begins with a vertical chain lift hill into a beyond vertical drop, which is a strong point of the ride layout. The ride then climbs into a dive loop, falls back to the ground, goes into an upward curve into an Immelman loop, then curves up into the mid-course brake run. Following the brake run, the ride descends into a curve through a tunnel, then into a slow hardline roll, and then finally curves into the final brake run. The restraints are quite comfortable since they are a lap bar only, and the design of the ride vehicle and profiling of the track allows the vehicles to take the course smoothly. There's nothing jarringly rough about the ride, but there's nothing outstanding that really shocks the rider either. It's a mostly smooth and pleasant ride with nothing overly exciting by today's standards. For the S&S El Loco model, the ride also begins with a chain lift. However, it's not completely vertical, unlike the other two models. I should mention that while the El Loco models are not identical clones, they do all have nearly an identical layout. The ride then goes into a 180-degree hairpin turn into a 111-degree drop, which is roughly 2/3 of the ride's overall height. It then goes up into an outer banked curve, then into an inside curve, and a brake run. It then enters a steeply banked curve to go into a dive loop, before climbing into a curve and descending into a hardline roll. It then climbs up into a sharp 180-degree curve before entering the final brake run. The restraints for the El Loco include both a lap bar and over-the-shoulder restraints, which make the ride slightly awkward, but it does not really detract from the experience. So the track work is very smooth, but with the hairpin turns, overbanked and outer banked curves, and crazy inversions, it really gives it the feeling of a wild mouse on steroids. A really out of control but enjoyable experience. Last, we're going to talk about the ride experience on the Zamperla Thunderbolt. The footage shown here is from Rolling Thunder at Tropic Falls in Alabama. However, this layout is identical to the Thunderbolt at Luna Park and to another Thunderbolt located in South Korea. The Thunderbolt goes directly into a 115-foot vertical lift hill into a 90-degree vertical drop. Then it enters a vertical loop going into a 0G roll, a wave turn, overbanked curve into a dive loop. The dive loop is followed by a sharp airtime hill, a corkscrew, another sharp airtime hill, and then enters the brake run before returning to the station. The ride vehicles feature over-the-shoulder restraints, as well as the dreaded comfort collars, which make for an uncomfortable ride experience. Making this experience even more uncomfortable is some of the track work throughout the ride, and the ride vehicles, which have a somewhat high center of gravity, especially noticeable in the valleys. For me, this roughness is not completely unbearable, but it does detract from the experience quite a bit. Last, I'll do my best to analyze each model's design and efficiency, give each model a final score, and crown the king of compact vertical coaster. Our Gerstlauer Eurofighter Daredevil Dive is on a plot of land that's approximately 225 by 300 feet in size. It has a theoretical capacity of somewhere around 430 riders per hour. While it makes efficient use of land available, it has quite a low capacity, and if you go to Six Flags Over Georgia, the line for this ride will almost certainly be long. Regardless, the Eurofighter is by far the most popular compact vertical coaster, with 26 models currently installed around the world. However, popularity doesn't mean everything. So considering our statistics, our ride experience, and our design, I'm going to give the Eurofighter a 7 out of 10. Next, the SNSL Loco Steel Hog has a footprint of approximately 204 by 50 feet. Its capacity is around 480 riders per hour. While it makes an extremely efficient use of space by the track going in and around its truss system, it also has a low capacity, only being slightly higher than the Eurofighter. Considering the stats, design, and ride experience, I'm going to give the El Loco model an 8 out of 10. Finally, we'll analyze the design of the Zamperla Thunderbolt model. It requires a footprint of 846 by 64 feet, a long and narrow plot of land, but it can theoretically put through about 590 riders per hour, quite a higher capacity than the other two. But considering our ride experience, statistics, and design, I'm going to give the Thunderbolt a final score of 6 out of 10. Well, I've given out the scores, and we have a winner. In my opinion, the SNSL Loco is the king of compact vertical coasters. If you like this concept and would like to see more videos, please let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Hope to see you on my next voyage.